All right, guys, so today we're going to talk about figurative language. Now, figurative language is where we use figures of speech to build meaning beyond the literal. Now, what is literal? Literal is like the baseline, like when you read something, that is the literal meaning of what you're reading. But if we're building meaning beyond it, right, what goes beyond the literal, what is on the page? Like does it make us think about? What does it make us feel? What does it make us, like, yeah, think or feel, really. But so it can be words and phrases, or it is words and phrases. It can be sentences. It can be paragraphs. It can be a whole poem that mean more than what is written. Again, to what we just said. And figurative language has different levels of meaning, which is kind of what we were just saying there, right? It could have meaning that affects your emotions. It could have meaning that affects what you think. It could have meaning that affects, like, the imagery that you're seeing or the pictures in your head. Okay, so the purpose, it can bring out certain emotions in readers, but at that same time, it can help readers make images in their mind. It can do multiple different things. And these two things right here are where its purpose comes in, because its purpose is to affect the tone and the mood of the writing that you are doing or that you are reading. Now, our first one here that I want to talk about is idiom. I want to first apologize in my example here. There should be an apostrophe. If you can just add that apostrophe on your notes, it's raining cats and dogs. Just say it is raining cats and dogs. But an idiom is just an expression that means something more than the literal. Now, when we get to the rest of these, I don't need you to write out the purpose for me. I just need you to write out what it is. So a simile, right, is an indirect. It's important that it's indirect. It's not direct. It's indirectly comparing something. It's indirect comparison. That's the second important thing, that it's a comparison. Then it finally gets to this like or as. But the problem with similes is we just want to think it's something that uses like or as, and that's not always the case. So I'm going to give you a simile here, right? So Mr. Black's lessons are as boring as watching paint dry. Okay, so I am comparing. That's the thing here. Mr. Black's lessons are nothing like paint, right? They're nothing like paint. I'm not going to say Mr. Black's lessons are like Mrs. Carter's lessons. Why? Even if they are different, they're similar in the sense that they're lessons. We want to compare it to something completely different. Okay, so, and we threw in the boring there, but you could also just say Mr. Black's lessons are like watching paint dry. That's what you could say. You could say they are like watching paint dry. That's just as great, okay? So metaphors, very similar to this, but different, okay? A metaphor is a direct comparison. Direct. The indirect here is the like or as. This one, I'm directly saying that one thing is another. A direct comparison between two objects or concepts. So you could literally take the other thing here. Mr. Black's lessons are similar to watching paint dry. Okay. A better metaphor here would be her long hair was a flowing golden river, because you really want to paint that picture in your brain of the flowing golden river, and you can type that one instead. I just wanted to show you that you could get rid of the like or as, and it would still work as a metaphor, because they're very similar. It's just one has like or as and one does not. They both do the same thing. They both are supposed to make an image in your brain. Now, personification, we always mix this one up, but personification is when we are giving human qualities to something, anything that is not human, an animal, which these are the hardest things to personify, because animals do certain things that humans do. So unless you are spot on with animals, don't personify them. Don't try to personify them. Don't say the dog smiled. The dogs can smile, right? And then you could say, like, the dog laughed. I don't really think a dog laughs, but is that personification strong enough? Ask yourself, am I better able to connect with a dog knowing that it laughed? Like, why am I saying the dog laughed? So I really like to stick more with objects, nature, ideas. Okay. So, the alarm clock screamed for me to wake up. Okay. Now, moving on from that to hyperbole. This is the one that everyone always remembers. This is one of the easier ones. This is also, I went to the example first. I'm sorry for that. That's on me. Let me fix this. It's an extreme exaggeration. You guys know that. An extreme exaggeration. Now, this is one that really, with superlative adjectives, you can really have them stand out here, right? You know, so-and-so is the fastest person on earth. I'm using that superlative adjective of fastest to say he's the fastest person on earth when maybe he's not the fastest person on earth. But, like, you know, it used to be Usain Bolt. I don't know if he's the fastest person on earth anymore, but on the millionth time he asked her out, a date, she said yes. Right? So the millionth time on a date. So the millionth time here, like, you're not going to ever ask somebody a million times. I mean, you could ask a bunch of times, which is what it's saying here, but a millionth time is a crazy number. Okay. Now, our last figurative language is, to me, the hardest, and this also goes with these adjectives that we've been looking at. So here, right, imagery, use of language that engages the 5 senses. It does not have to engage all the senses at one time. I can't type. Senses: hearing, sight, taste, smell, and touch. It does not have to engage all the 5 senses, but it engages at least one of them, right? And it's one of those things where you have to be descriptive to engage imagery. You can't just say the word smell and say, oh, I used imagery. No, you said the word smell, right? What my mom was baking in the kitchen smelled nice. Nope, that's not imagery. We need more than that. Okay, and here's a good example. The scruffy black cat's back arches and hair stands straight up when it encounters the chocolate brown, snarling dog whose teeth look like little knives covered in butter. So this is also a simile here, which they both can work hand in hand, but teeth look like little knives covered in butter. So his teeth were very yellow, but they were also knives, so they were very sharp. It should be painting that image in your brain instead of just saying he snarled at her with his teeth. There's no image in there. What do his teeth look like? I don't know. I haven't described them. And so that's where imagery comes in. You're just being more descriptive. Now, I have 2 sound devices, and then you guys are done with the notes. Now, sound devices are sometimes the same as figurative language. They're lumped in together, but sound devices are things that we really find mostly in poetry. It's not necessarily in all types of writing, but I think we have heard onomatopoeia enough. I mean, we should know that they are words that resemble the sound they represent. Knock, bang, boom, pow, represent, right? Boom. Okay. I don't like boom. I'm gonna say knock. And then you could also do animal sounds like bark. Okay. Now, alliteration, we struggle with this one, but we shouldn't. We shouldn't struggle with alliteration as much as we do. Alliteration is the repetition. That was awful. Ignore that, everybody. The repetition of the beginning consonant. It has to be consonant sound within a group of words. Now, note, alliteration, it does not have to start with the same letter, just the same sound. So here we have an example of that, of Kathy can't cook chocolate chip cookies. Kathy can't cook chocolate chip cookies. Okay, so we also have repetition, rhyme, and rhythm as part of our sound devices. Repetition is repeating sounds. Anytime you repeat one word, one phrase, one sentence, it is repetition. So I have to practice my times tables over and over and over again so I can learn them. Over and over and over is repeated there. Rhyme is repetition of similar sounding words. The words sound the same because they have the same ending sound. So sad dad or super duper. And then rhythm is something super, super tough. You guys get it when it's in music. But it's really hard in poetry because there's no music set to it, and you have to kind of create your own rhythm or notice what the author intended the rhythm to be. Now, over here, we have 3 things. Why is it important to understand the different types of figurative language? what are the advantages of using figurative language in your writing so your writing's not boring, right? What is the main impact figurative language has on an author's writing? It impacts the tone, right? When I say a snarling dog has yellow, sharp knives for teeth, it makes the story to me scarier than when I say the dog was barking at the cat. I don't find it as frightening. Not to say I'm not so worried for the cat either way, but I'm more worried when I know that the dog has knives for teeth. So just keep that in mind. This is really quickly our thing on figurative language. You're now going to work on a practice. Come to me, show me your notes, and then get the practice. And of course, as always, guys, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Where's my end?